California, the place that once felt like one of the most stable corners of America, suddenly no longer looks or feels familiar. What began quietly with streets filling up with for sale signs, families slipping away in the early hours, and tax notices so shocking they spread panic across entire neighborhoods has now grown into something no one expected. Homeowners across the state have begun refusing to pay their property taxes, not to start a fight, not as a political message, but because they've been pushed past their breaking point. And the moment this wave began to rise, Sacramento started to panic. Even Governor Gavin Newsom can feel it. He knows this property tax revolt isn't just spreading, it's accelerating, reaching far beyond what the state can control. Because if thousands of people stop paying at the same time, California could be staring at a financial explosion big enough to crack both its budget and its housing market in ways no one is prepared for. That's why we have to look directly at what's happening. California's property tax revolt is truly erupting, so let's break down why. If you talk to enough homeowners, you'll hear something subtle in their voices when they describe their tax bills. It isn't normal frustration, it's disbelief. The kind you feel when your life shifts beneath your feet and you don't know when things stopped making sense. They remember the day they bought their homes, the excitement, the nervous nights running numbers, the relief of finally owning something. Almost none of them imagined that the biggest threat to keeping that home wouldn't be the mortgage, it would be the taxes. The real heart of the problem begins with reassessments. Counties recalculate your home's value based on today's market, not what you paid, and not what you earn. And in a market as unpredictable as California's, where values can jump hundreds of thousands of dollars in just a few seasons, tax bills jump right behind them. Nothing about your home changed, not the leaky roof, not the aging backyard, not the kitchen tiles you've been meaning to replace. Yet the county decides it's suddenly worth far more than you could realistically sell it for tomorrow, and you're taxed as if you're living in a brand new luxury rebuild. For families living paycheck to paycheck, for retirees on fixed incomes, and for anyone who bought during the pandemic-era price surge, these increases don't feel like adjustments, they feel like ambushes. One homeowner in the Central Valley joked, "The only thing I remodeled was my stress level." Humor helps, but not when your tax bill doubles overnight. And the worst part is the speed. 1 year the bill is manageable. The next year it's painful. The year after it's unbelievable. Yet there's no mistake, just a home caught inside a runaway market and a county determined to match its revenue to that inflated reality. Behind the scenes, most people don't realize how heavily California counties depend on property taxes. Schools, fire departments, emergency services, road repairs, nearly everything relies on those dollars. When costs rise, when insurance companies pull out, when inflation chews through local budgets, counties reach for the only lever they can reliably pull, reassessment. If the market goes up, they seize the opportunity. If the market cools, they don't rush to adjust downward. This mix, sky-high home prices, counties desperate for revenue, and a tax system tied to market values instead of household realities, has created pressure that's grinding families down. Homeowners who once budgeted comfortably now count every dollar. Retirees who thought they were secure are learning that financial stability can disappear with a single envelope. Young families who bought during the chaos of 2020-2021 are now taxed like wealthy investors even when one emergency could break them. You can feel the shift in conversations. People are asking questions they never asked before. Why does the county think my home is worth this much when I couldn't sell it for that? Why do taxes keep rising when everything else feels like it's falling apart? How am I supposed to keep up with something that grows faster than my income ever could? These aren't policy debates. These are homeowners trying to stay in the homes they built their lives around. California has always been expensive, but this is different. It's not the cost of buying a home that's pushing people over the edge. It's the cost of staying in one. Picture a family opening their tax bill after dinner, their faces falling. Picture a retired couple debating which medications to skip so they can make one more payment. Picture a single parent staring at the due date, hoping the bill is wrong. None of these people remodeled anything. They just lived in a market that rose too far, too fast, and swallowed them whole. Eventually, homeowners reach a point where something breaks. If you ask those who stopped paying when that moment happened, few can give a single reason, not because they lack reasons, but because too many piled up. No one wakes up one morning and says, "I'm done paying taxes." It happens slowly. The story usually begins the same way, opening a new bill and seeing taxes jump by half or even double. They call the county, they want clarity. But the answers are robotic. The market went up, the assessment is accurate, there's nothing we can do. Over time, it starts to feel like the system you fund doesn't even recognize you. Across California, from San Diego to Riverside to Redwood City, the same story repeats. families forced to choose between taxes and necessities, retirees who followed every rule suddenly drowning, single parents who simply can't keep up anymore. Someone finally says it out loud, "I'm not paying." And instead of outrage, others feel relief because they were thinking the same thing. Support groups form. People share appeal strategies. Communities bond over shared pressure. Ordinary rule-following homeowners suddenly feel abandoned, pushed into corners with no help. That isn't rebellion, it's survival. But instead of compassion, counties responded with force. Grace periods shortened, penalties increased, warning letters tripled. Slightly late payments were sent straight to penalty processing and even early foreclosure steps. County workers quietly admitted they were instructed to push delinquent accounts harder because counties themselves are under financial pressure. California is dealing with rising costs, insurance instability, wildfire expenses, school funding shortages, and a tax system that collapses whenever too many homeowners fall behind. So counties did what bureaucracies do best. They tightened the screws. The message became clear: whatever you're going through, we still need the money. This created a huge divide. Homeowners felt suffocated. Counties felt desperate. No town halls, no temporary relief, no real communication, just a system pushing people harder when they were already at their limit, and at the top of it all silence. Governor Gavin Newsom's silence has become one of the most infuriating parts of the crisis. Californians don't need miracles, they need acknowledgement, but instead, they get nothing. Streets lined with moving trucks, online groups exploding with tens of thousands of homeowners sharing survival strategies, families facing doubled tax bills, and yet the governor says nothing. Not because he's unaware, but because addressing it would mean admitting the state is in deep trouble. People feel abandoned, and silence from leadership during a crisis is gasoline on a fire. And here's where the situation gets even more dangerous. This revolt doesn't just affect the people refusing to pay, it's about to hit everyone's home value. California's housing market is interconnected. When homeowners are pushed beyond their limits, they think about selling. Quiet late-night calls to agents increase. Homes mentally on the market, even before being listed, create what experts call shadow inventory. When enough people want out, the market weakens before anyone even sees it. Listings rise, homes sit longer, buyers get nervous. They ask questions like, will my taxes explode next year? Why couldn't the previous owners afford it? A fearful market is a falling market. Then foreclosures begin, not because of mortgages, but because of taxes. And when even one home on your street sells under value, it drags down every comparable property in the area. 2 or 3 distress sales can send an entire neighborhood downward. Your home could be immaculate, updated, perfectly maintained. None of it matters if nearby tax foreclosures pull down the numbers. That's how revolts ripple through markets. Rising taxes push people out, foreclosures pull values down, confidence collapses, and soon everyone from Riverside to Sacramento to San Diego feels the impact. California isn't facing a simple tax problem. It's facing a slow-moving but massive quake that could reshape entire communities. Tax hikes, county crackdowns, mass delinquency, a silent governor, and a growing revolt, all these forces are converging. Whether you're in the middle of it or watching from afar, this wave will reach you. If this breakdown helps you understand what's unfolding in California, make sure to like the video and subscribe to Tax Hack Pro so you never miss critical updates that could protect your home, your wallet, and your future. Thank you for watching until the end. Now feel free to check out the other important videos on your screen. Goodbye and see you in the next one.